In a small town surrounded by diamond fields and whispering trees, there lived a boy so handsome that people would stop and stare. His name was Henry. Whenever he walked by, his skin glowed like the morning sun, his smile shone like the stars, and his laughter was like music that lifted spirits wherever he went. But Henry's beauty wasn't just on the outside. He was kind, humble, and loved by all. By his side were his two best friends, James and Anthony. They were always together, eating, laughing, and sharing their dreams. To Henry, they were not just friends, they were like brothers. But Henry's mother was not convinced. "My son," she would say, her eyes filled with worry. "Not everyone who smiles at you is your friend. These boys, they envy you." Henry would only chuckle and shake his head. "Mama, you worry too much. James and Anthony are my brothers in everything but blood." His mother sighed. She knew her son was stubborn, just like his father. But deep inside, she felt something was not right. One evening, Henry and his friends sat beneath the great baobab tree, eating roasted yam and laughing as the cool wind rustled through the leaves. The moon was rising, casting silver light over the town. "Henry," James said, leaning closer with a sly smile, "do you realize how lucky you are? Everyone in this town admires you." "Yes," Anthony added. "Some say you are the most handsome man they have ever seen. Even noble women from the city would want you as a husband." Henry shrugged. "It's just looks. They don't mean much." But deep down he felt proud. He loved the attention, and his friends always reminded him of how special he was. Then James spoke again, his voice quieter this time. "Have you ever thought about using your beauty for something greater? Imagine marrying a noble woman, someone with power. You wouldn't have to stay in this small town forever." Henry frowned. "I like my life the way it is." Anthony clicked his tongue. "But don't you want more? We want more, Henry, and we can all rise together." A strange feeling crept into Henry's heart. He pushed it away and forced a smile. "We have everything we need. Let's just enjoy our friendship." That night, as he lay in bed, his mother's words echoed in his mind. "Not everyone who smiles at you is your friend." Something didn't feel right, but Henry ignored it. These were his best friends. What could go wrong? A week later, the village erupted with excitement. The town criers beat their drums and called out in loud voices, "Hear ye, the princess is returning from the great kingdom beyond the seas. She has completed her studies and is coming home. The king has announced that she will choose a husband, but only a pure, untouched bachelor shall be selected." Mothers rushed to their sons, asking them questions they had never dared to ask before. "My son, tell me the truth. Are you still clean?" Some sons lowered their heads in shame, unable to answer. Others wept as their mothers scolded them for wasting their chance at becoming royalty. But Henry stood with quiet confidence. He had nothing to hide. His mother held his hands tightly. "The gods have kept you pure for a reason, my son. But remember, jealousy is a fire that burns everything in its path. Be careful." Henry smiled, excitement fluttering in his heart. "Mama, if it is meant to be, it will happen." The next morning, James and Anthony sat beneath a tree, their faces dark with jealousy. Anthony sighed. "Henry is too lucky. He has everything, and now he might become a prince." James clenched his fists. "I won't let that happen. Why must it always be Henry?" Anthony hesitated. "But what can we do? The elders will test every man before the princess chooses a husband." A slow, wicked smile formed on James's lips. We don't have to change the truth, just what people believe. If the village doubts his purity, the princess will never pick him. Anthony gasped. You mean we should spread a lie? James nodded. Not just any lie, a scandal so big, so shocking, that no one will believe he is still pure. For a moment Anthony hesitated, then his lips curled into a cruel grin. I like this plan. As they walked toward Henry's house, Anthony frowned. James, the villagers love Henry. They trust him. What if they don't believe us? What if it backfires? James smirked. Don't worry, I already have another plan. When they arrived, Henry was outside, sweeping the compound. He smiled when he saw them. James, Anthony, you didn't tell me you were coming. James and Anthony exchanged a quick look before sitting down on a wooden bench. Henry, James said, pretending to be excited. We have something to tell you, but you must promise not to tell anyone. Henry stopped sweeping and looked at them curiously. What is it? Anthony leaned forward. We both have lovers. Henry's eyes widened. What? But how? You never told me, and I never even noticed. James laughed. We kept it a secret. But, Henry, having a woman is an amazing experience. You should try it. Henry shook his head. No, I want to remain pure until I marry. Anthony rolled his eyes. Oh, come on, Henry. You know Lady Sophia has been eyeing you. She likes you. Why don't you give her a chance? Henry's face hardened. Never. I will wait for my wife. I won't ruin my future. James and Anthony exchanged another glance, disappointment flashing in their eyes. Their plan had failed. Fine, James said with a forced smile. We were just trying to help. Without another word, they stood up and left, anger and frustration burning in their chests. As they walked away, Anthony sighed. What do we do now? He won't fall for it. James grinned. Don't worry, I know what to do. The day finally arrived. The whole village gathered in the palace square, dressed in their finest clothes, singing and dancing to welcome Princess Remy. Drums echoed through the air as she stepped out of her royal carriage. She was tall, graceful, and dressed in rich robes that shimmered in the sunlight. Her eyes scanned the crowd, searching for the one who would become her husband. And then she saw him, Henry. The moment their eyes met, her heart skipped a beat. He was unlike any man she had ever seen. His handsomeness was striking, but there was also something pure and noble about him. She leaned toward her father, the king, and whispered, He is the one. The village elders conducted the tests, and it was confirmed. Henry was untouched and pure. He was also known for his kindness and respect toward everyone. That evening, the town crier made the announcement, Hear ye, the princess has chosen her bridegroom. Princess Remy will marry Henry because he is pure, handsome, and honorable. The villagers erupted in joy. Henry's mother wept, thanking the gods for blessing her son. But not everyone was happy. At the back of the crowd, James and Anthony stood in silence, their faces dark with jealousy and rage. This was not over, not yet. Anthony clenched his fists, his entire body trembling with rage. This cannot be happening, he hissed. James's eyes burned with hatred. Henry will become a prince while we remain nobodies. He spat. I told you not to worry, James said, a sly smile creeping onto his face. Anthony turned to him sharply. What do you mean? James's grin widened. If we cannot stop the princess from choosing him, we will make sure she changes her mind. 2 days later, Henry's mother was getting ready to go to the farm. She tied her wrapper tightly around her waist and picked up her basket. "Henry, my child," she called, "your wedding is in a few days. I want to fetch some cassava for the house. Come with me." Henry stretched and yawned. "Mama, I'm tired. Let me rest today." His mother studied him for a moment before sighing. "All right, but listen to me carefully. I had a bad dream last night. It was not a good one." Henry frowned. "What did you see?" She shook her head. Her eyes darkened. "A shadow crept into our compound. It whispered your name, but when I tried to see its face, it disappeared into the wind." She sighed heavily. "My heart is not at peace." Henry chuckled lightly. "Mama, you worry too much." But his mother did not laugh. "I am serious, Henry. Promise me." Seeing the fear in her eyes, Henry nodded. "I promise, Mama." Henry reached for a small black rod and placed it in his palm. "Before you leave this house," she instructed, "drop this rod into a bowl of water. If the water turns clear, you may go. If it turns dark, stay inside." Henry chuckled. "Mama, a rod cannot change water's color." She did not smile. "Exactly. Do not leave unless it does." And with that, she picked up her basket and left for the farm. Henry sat on the wooden bench, staring at the bowl of water. He shook his head and chuckled again. "Mama and her strange ways," he muttered. He had no idea that danger was already knocking at his door. Minutes later, James and Anthony arrived, their faces bright with fake smiles. But beneath their cheerful expressions, their hearts burned with jealousy. "Henry, come with us to the river," James said. "Let's go for a swim." Henry shook his head. "I can't. My mother told me not to go anywhere. She asked me to drop this rod into a bowl of water until it turns clear before I leave the house." James and Anthony burst into laughter, clutching their stomachs. "Are you serious?" Anthony wheezed. "A rod cannot change water's color. That's the most foolish thing I've ever heard." Henry sighed. "I told my mother the same thing, but she insisted." James leaned closer. "Henry, do you really think she meant that? She was only joking. You know how mothers say strange things sometimes." "Besides," Anthony added, "your wedding is in a few days. Soon you'll be a king. Kings don't bathe in the river with ordinary people. This might be our last chance to have fun together." Henry hesitated. "But Mama warned me." James smiled sweetly. "Oh, Henry, you're too obedient. Your mother is at the farm. She won't even know you left. We'll swim for a short time and return before she gets back." Anthony placed a hand on his shoulder. "Don't forget, we've always done everything together. Are you now too special to be with us?" Henry looked at them. The thought of leaving his friends behind made him sad. They had always been together, laughing and playing, and what they said was true. Soon, everything would change. He smiled. "All right, let's go, but we won't stay too long." James and Anthony exchanged a quick glance of victory. As they walked toward the river, James and Anthony led Henry down a narrow path hidden from the villagers. Tall grasses and thick bushes lined the way. Henry looked around, feeling uneasy. The place was too quiet, the trees casting long shadows over the path. He stopped walking and frowned. "Wait, why are we going this way? Isn't this the road that leads to the forbidden river? The one my mother warned me about?" James clicked his tongue in frustration. "Henry, you fear too much, always listening to your mother like a little child. Nothing will happen." Anthony nodded. "We've been there many times. Your mother is just overprotective." Henry still felt unsure, but he didn't want to seem weak. His friends always mocked him for being too careful. He sighed. "Are you sure nothing will happen?" James rolled his eyes. "Of course. You'll see how beautiful the water is." When they arrived at the river, Henry's eyes widened. The water was crystal clear, reflecting the bright sky. The rushing stream filled the air with the soothing sound, and a cool breeze made the place feel peaceful. But deep inside, something didn't feel right. James and Anthony turned to him with mischievous smiles. "Henry, we're here. Let's bathe," James said, removing his trousers and stepping toward the water. Henry shook his head. "No, I don't want to. I only agreed to come, not to enter the river." Anthony scoffed. "Oh, stop being stubborn. We're already here. Just get in and enjoy yourself." Henry stepped back. "I don't feel comfortable. I'll wait for you both on the shore." James's eyes darkened. He had not brought Henry here just to sit and watch. "No, Henry," he said, grabbing Henry's hand. "Yous always think you're better than us. Today, you must do what we do." Henry resisted. "Let me go, James. I don't want to." Anthony joined in, pushing him from behind. Henry struggled. "I'm leaving," he shouted. But James's anger exploded. With all his strength, he shoved Henry into the river. Henry screamed as he plunged into the deep water. The moment his body touched the river, something strange happened. The water swirled around him, forming a small whirlpool. James and Anthony stepped back in shock. The water shimmered, and in the blink of an eye, Henry was gone. A turtle with diamond scales swam up to the surface, its eyes filled with sorrow and confusion. It was Henry. For a moment, silence filled the air. Then James and Anthony burst into laughter. "Look at him," Anthony mocked. "He wanted to be a king. Now he's just a turtle." James clapped his hands in amusement. "Let's see how he marries the princess now." Satisfied, they turned and walked away, feeling victorious. The river was now quiet, except for the diamond turtle that swam sadly in the water, its heart filled with pain and betrayal. Meanwhile, Henry's mother was still at the farm, gathering cassava. Everything seemed peaceful, until a strange white bird landed on a branch nearby and began to sing. Its melody was not ordinary. It carried a warning. "Go home, go home. Your son is in danger. Run before it is too late." Henry's mother froze, her heart pounding. She dropped the cassava in her hands. "This cannot be a joke," she whispered. "The gods use birds to send messages." Without wasting another second, she grabbed her basket and ran as fast as her legs could carry her. When she reached home, she called out, "Henry, my child." Silence. Tears filled her eyes. "Oh, my only child," she wept. "I told him not to leave the house. Oh, Lord, let nothing happen to him." Little did she know, Henry was already lost. Soon, the news spread like wildfire across the village. Henry was missing. Villagers gathered in small groups, whispering and asking questions. Some rushed to the palace to inform the elders, while others went into the forest, searching desperately for any sign of him. Even James and Anthony joined the search, pretending to be concerned. They wore sorrowful expressions, shedding fake tears, acting as if they cared. "Henry is missing," James cried. "Oh, where could he be? He was like a brother to us," Anthony added, shaking his head. "I hope nothing bad has happened to him." But deep inside, they were celebrating. Their evil plan had worked. Henry was gone, and no one would ever know what had happened. As the village continued its frantic search, James saw an opportunity. If Henry was truly gone forever, Princess Remy would need another suitor. And who better than him? Dressing in his finest trousers, he carefully adjusted his belt, sprayed himself with perfume, and with confidence walked straight to the palace. When he arrived, Princess Remy sat in the royal courtyard, surrounded by guards and elders. Her face was filled with worry. James bowed low and spoke sweetly. "My princess, I know you are troubled, and I came to comfort you. Do not be sad over Henry. Perhaps he was never meant to be your husband." Princess Remy barely looked at him. "I do not wish to talk right now." But James was determined. He stepped closer, lowering his voice. "My princess, I have something important to tell you, something about Henry." Princess Remy's eyes narrowed. "What is it?" James sighed, putting on a sorrowful face. "I didn't want to say this before, but you deserve to know the truth. Henry must have run away with his lover. He is not the innocent man everyone believes he is." The princess sat up, her expression darkening. "What are you saying?" James quickly continued. "The purity test was a lie. Henry bribed them to say he was pure, but in truth he had a secret lover, and now he has run away with her." The entire palace went silent. The elders and guards exchanged uneasy glances, whispering among themselves. Princess Remy clenched her fists, her patience wearing thin. Then she stood and faced James, her voice icy. "You think I am a fool?" James' heart pounded. "My princess, I only—" "Enough!" the princess thundered. "I see through your lies. You are nothing but a jealous and wicked boy." James' eyes widened in shock. "My princess, I was only—" "I do not want to see you anywhere near this palace again," Princess Remy declared. "If you ever set foot here, you will regret it." Shame washed over James. The guards and elders stared at him with disgust. He had failed. With his head down and his heart full of disappointment, he turned and walked away. But as he stepped out of the palace gates, anger and frustration filled his soul. He had lost this battle, but in his mind it was not over yet. After James left in disgrace, the palace remained silent. One of the elders shook his head. "This boy looks suspicious. I do not trust him." Another elder nodded. "Yes, but we have no proof. No one saw them together when Henry disappeared." Princess Remy sat back on her royal seat, her hands clenched into fists. Her heart was heavy with frustration and worry. Henry had vanished without a trace, and now wicked people were trying to tarnish his name. Taking a deep breath, she turned to her chief guard. "At sunrise, send my warriors on another search. Check every river, every bush, every hidden corner. Henry is the man I want, and I will not marry anyone else until he returns safely to me." The elders nodded. The princess's love for Henry was strong, and they could see it in her eyes. "We will find him, my princess," the chief guard assured her. "If he is alive, we will bring him back." Princess Remy's jaw tightened. "He is alive. I can feel it." That night, while the village slept, the princess stood by her window, staring at the dark sky. Her heart ached. "Henry, where are you?" she whispered. Meanwhile, far from the palace, in the cold waters of the forbidden river, a diamond turtle swam restlessly. Its eyes were filled with sadness. It had the heart of a human, the soul of a boy who had once been loved. Anthony, however, was growing restless. Ever since Henry disappeared, he had been tormented by the same terrible dream every night. Henry, trapped in the river, staring at him with sad, human eyes. A diamond turtle, but still Henry. He would wake up sweating, his heart pounding. He couldn't take it any more. One evening he ran to James, his voice shaking. "James, I can't do this anymore. I see Henry in my dreams every night. He looks at me like he knows what we did. I am afraid to close my eyes." James rolled his eyes. "You worry too much, Anthony. Your mind is playing tricks on you." Anthony shook his head. "No, James, it's real. I feel like something bad is going to happen to us. I want to confess." James' face darkened. "Confess? Are you mad? If you say anything, we are finished. Do you want to be thrown out of the village? Or worse, killed?" Anthony wiped his sweaty face. "But James, I just want to sleep in peace." James sighed and reached into a small pouch hidden in his trousers. He pulled out a dark perfume and handed it to Anthony. "Spread this on your body before you sleep," he said. "It will stop the nightmares. Henry is gone, and he is not coming back. You need to forget him." Anthony hesitated, but, desperate for sleep, took the perfume. That night he spread it on his body and closed his eyes, hoping for peace. But he never woke up. By morning, Anthony lay lifeless on his mat. His family screamed in terror, and soon the entire village gathered. News spread like wildfire. People whispered in shock, some in fear, others in suspicion. "I knew it," one woman murmured. "These boys were not who we thought they were." Another villager nodded. "Especially Henry. He always thought he was better than the other boys in the village just because he was more handsome." Someone else scoffed. "I don't even wish for Henry to be found. The princess should marry my son instead." "No," another woman shouted. "The princess will marry my son, not that ugly, useless boy of yours." A heated argument broke out among the villagers, each mother fighting for her son to become the next king. But amidst all the chaos, one person remained silent, James. His heart pounded in fear as he stared at Anthony's lifeless body. He had promised him that the perfume would help him sleep peacefully. But now Anthony was dead, and James knew this was no ordinary death. Meanwhile, deep in the forest, Henry's mother trudged forward, her weary feet aching with every step. Desperation fueled her movements. She had walked for hours, but she would not stop, not until she found help for her only child. The towering trees loomed over her like silent witnesses to her pain. The wind whispered through the leaves, carrying an eerie stillness as she neared the sacred shrine of the most powerful native doctor in the land. As if expecting her, the native doctor sat before a roaring fire. The flames danced wildly, casting flickering shadows across his aged, wise face. He said nothing at first, only studying her with piercing eyes. Then he picked up a handful of sacred cowries, muttered strange incantations, and threw them onto the ground. He looked up, his voice calm yet firm. "My daughter, you seek answers, but be warned. The truth is bitter." Henry's mother swallowed hard, her heart pounding. "Please, tell me what happened to my child. Where is he? Who did this to him?" The native doctor sighed deeply and pointed to the fire. "Look into the flames. See for yourself." She hesitated, but then leaned forward, staring intently. At first, she saw nothing, just the chaotic dance of fire. But then the images began to take shape. She saw Henry, her son, laughing joyfully with James and Anthony. She saw them lead him to the forbidden river, their smiles hiding wicked intentions. Then she saw the moment of betrayal, James shoving Henry into the water with a cruel grin. The flames flickered, and suddenly Henry was no longer there. In his place, a diamond turtle swam helplessly in the river. Henry's mother gasped, clutching her chest as tears streamed down her face. "James, I knew it. I never trusted those wicked boys. They have destroyed my son's life." She jumped to her feet, her grief turning to rage. "I must go back to the village. I will expose them." The native doctor shook his head. "No, woman, you must calm down." "Calm down?" she cried. "My son was supposed to be a bridegroom, a king, and now he is trapped in the river, cursed to live as an ordinary turtle." The native doctor leaned forward. "Listen carefully. The river goddess has not fully claimed him yet. You have 6 days before the transformation becomes permanent. If that happens, no power in this world will bring him back." Henry's mother trembled. 6 days? Oh, my child, what must I do? The native doctor reached into a calabash and brought out a small bundle wrapped in sacred leaves. He carefully placed it in her trembling hands. "At midnight tomorrow," he instructed, "go to the forbidden river and sprinkle this powder into the water. When you do, your son will return to his human form." She clutched the bundle tightly. "That's all?" His expression darkened. "Number you must tell no one, not even the princess. If anyone discovers your plan, the ritual will fail, and Henry will be lost forever." Her hands shook as she nodded. "I won't tell a soul. I just want my child back." The native doctor gave a slow nod. "Then go. Be careful. The gods are watching." With renewed hope, Henry's mother left the shrine, gripping the powder like a lifeline. She had one chance. If she failed, her son would be lost forever. But unknown to her, James already knew everything. His spiritual mother, a wicked and powerful sorceress, had seen it all through dark magic. She revealed to James that Henry's mother had gone to the native doctor, that she had received the sacred powder, and that the ritual would take place at midnight. James clenched his fists in fury. He had worked too hard to eliminate Henry, and he was not about to let him return. "You must stop her," the sorceress hissed. "If Henry comes back, your life is over." That night, under the cover of darkness, James crept into Henry's mother's house. Moving like a shadow, he searched the room until his fingers brushed against the hidden bundle beneath the mat. A wicked smile spread across his face as he picked it up. "Now let's see how you'll save your foolish son." But just as he turned to leave, a voice froze him in place. "You evil boy, what are you doing in my house?" James spun around and saw Henry's mother standing in the doorway, her eyes blazing with fury. She clenched her fists. "After everything you did to my son, you still dare to come here?" James chuckled darkly. "Your son thought he was untouchable. Now he's nothing but a stupid turtle swimming in the river." Henry's mother's eyes filled with fresh tears, but she stood her ground. "You were never good enough to stand beside Henry, and that's why you hated him. You are nothing but a jealous, empty soul." James's expression darkened. "You talk too much, old woman." Before she could react, he pulled out a red charm and whispered sinister words. He struck her forehead with it, and instantly a cold wind swept through the room. Henry's mother let out a choked gasp and collapsed. Horror filled her eyes as she realized she could no longer see, hear, or speak. James smirked triumphantly. "Now you will never tell anyone. The ritual will fail. Henry is finished." He stepped over the helpless woman and vanished into the night, holding the stolen powder. The battle of the spirits. At dawn, the native doctor sat deep in meditation when suddenly his eyes flew open. He had seen everything. James's betrayal, Henry's mother's suffering, and the stolen powder. Rage burned inside him. This wickedness must end. Without hesitation, He grabbed his staff and marched straight to the home of James's spiritual mother. She sat outside, chewing bitter cola, her long nails tapping against her knee. When she saw him, she smirked. "So the great native doctor has come to challenge me?" The wind howled and the sky darkened. "You have used your powers for evil for too long," the native doctor said. "Today you face justice." A fierce battle erupted. The wicked woman summoned fire, but the native doctor turned it into water. She called lightning, but he deflected it with his staff. She screamed in fury, "I will not lose." But with a final powerful chant, the native doctor struck her with a blast of divine light. She shrieked in agony and vanished into nothingness. The native doctor dusted his hands. Now, it is time to fix what has been broken. The redemption. He restored Henry's mother's senses and gave her a second powder. That night she raced to the river, whispering a desperate prayer as she sprinkled the powder into the water. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, the river glowed. Bubbles rose. The air thickened with power. Slowly, a figure emerged from the depths. Henry. His mother sobbed as she embraced him. "You are back, my child." Henry's mother wept, holding her son tightly as if she never wanted to let go. Tears streamed down her face. "Oh my God, thank you," she cried. Henry clung to her just as fiercely, his heart pounding with relief and gratitude. "Mama, I thought I would never see you again." "You will never suffer again, my child," she whispered. "You are free." The wind whispered through the trees, as if the gods themselves were celebrating. The river, once cursed, now shimmered peacefully under the moonlight. But while mother and son rejoiced, far away in the village, James had no idea that his greatest nightmare was about to come true. Meanwhile, the native doctor stormed into James's compound, his staff in hand. His eyes burned with righteous fury. He had watched silently as James spread wickedness, but enough was enough. It was time for justice. James sat outside, lazily licking a mango, completely unaware of the storm heading his way. When he saw the native doctor, he rolled his eyes and stood up. "Old man, what do you want?" he sneered. The native doctor planted his staff firmly into the ground. "You wicked child," he declared. "You destroyed an innocent boy's life. You betrayed a friend who trusted you. You stole, you lied, and you used dark magic to harm his mother. Today, you will face the consequences of your actions." James threw back his head and laughed mockingly. "You? Do something to me? Do you think I fear you?" He folded his arms, smirking. "My spiritual mother is the most powerful woman in this land. She will crush you like an insect. You are nothing compared to her." The native doctor chuckled darkly and shook his head. "Your spiritual mother is gone. She has been defeated. You stand alone now." James's laughter cut off instantly. His face paled. "What did you say?" The native doctor's voice thundered like an approaching storm. "Your time of wickedness is over." Before James could react, the native doctor struck his staff against the earth. "Let madness consume you for your evil deeds." A powerful wind rose, swirling dust and dry leaves into the air. James screamed, clutching his head as his mind shattered. He began laughing and crying at the same time, spinning in circles like a man possessed. The villagers, hearing the commotion, gathered in shock. "Ah, he has run mad," someone gasped. James tore at his clothes, babbling nonsense. Then suddenly, as if something inside him pushed him forward, he took off running, straight toward the palace. The palace guards moved to stop him, but Princess Remy, hearing the commotion, stepped forward. "Let him come," she commanded. James collapsed at her feet, his wild eyes filled with madness. He laughed and cried at the same time, shaking his head violently. My princess, he wailed. "I did it. I did everything." Gasps filled the palace as the elders and guards exchanged stunned glances. "I pushed Henry into the river. I lied about him. I stole the powder from his mother. I cursed her with blindness, deafness, and silence." James clutched his head. "I wanted to be your husband, but now look at me. The gods have cursed me." Princess Remy's eyes darkened with fury. "So, you are the reason for all this evil." James nodded frantically, pulling at his shirt. "Yes, my princess. It was me. It was me." Then, as if a force inside him cracked, he let out a loud, insane laugh and bolted from the palace. "Catch him!" Princess Remy commanded, but before the guards could reach him, James ran straight into the village road, screaming nonsense. At that very moment, a drunk woman was speeding down the road in a car. "Stop him!" villagers screamed. James didn't stop. He ran straight into the path of the oncoming car. A loud crash echoed through the village. His body flew into the air before landing lifelessly on the ground. Silence fell over the crowd. The villagers gathered around, staring in horror. "His wickedness has caught up with him," an old woman murmured. "He thought he could escape judgment," another added. And just like that, the story of James, the jealous and wicked friend, ended in the most tragic way. A week later, the entire village gathered at the palace. Drums echoed in the air, dancers twirled in colorful attire, and everyone was dressed in their finest clothes. It was a day of joy and celebration. At the front of the palace, Princess Remy stood in royal attire, her face beaming with happiness. Beside her stood Henry, more handsome than ever in his regal robes. He was no longer just a village boy. He was a prince, and soon he would be king. The wedding ceremony was grand. The elders blessed their union, and the villagers cheered as Princess Remy placed a royal necklace around Henry's neck, sealing their marriage. As they sat on the royal throne, she took his hand and whispered, "I told you I would not marry anyone else. You were always the one for me." Henry smiled, his eyes filled with love. "And I am happy that fate brought us back together." The native doctor was also honored that day. Princess Remy awarded him with gifts of diamonds, land, and the highest respect in the kingdom for saving Henry's life and exposing the truth. The villagers feasted and danced late into the night, rejoicing in the victory of good over evil. And so, Henry and Princess Remy ruled with wisdom, kindness, and love. Their love story became the most famous in the kingdom, a tale of betrayal, loss, and redemption, and they lived happily ever after. Dear viewers, what lessons did you take away from this dramatic tale? We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed the story, give us a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to turn on notifications so you never miss our latest updates. Thanks for watching, and stay blessed.